Good morning. This is the time and place for the Planning Hearing Officer meeting for the date of August 28th, 2024. My name is Dennis Joe, and I will be conducting the hearing as the hearing officer. The Planning Hearing Officer meeting is being broadcast live on GTV6, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse Channel 99. Meetings are broadcast live in Glendale TV. I apologize. The meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city's webpage, glendaleca.gov/live, and on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, iOS, and Android devices using a free app called Cablecast and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city website for viewing anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting questions and comments in real time, and will be transferring it to the appropriate person. This morning, we have two cases involving discretionary applications. The hearing will proceed as follows. One, I will read the description of the applicant's request. Followed by, I will read the reports received by other departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The case planner will make a brief overview of the case, give an analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will then be connected by telephone by saying both name and address, or will be presenting in person, and will be given a 15-minute time limit. Others in support or opposition to the application and interested parties will be connected by phone to give comments, again clearly by stating name and address, and be given a 3-minute time limit that goes for persons available present here at the meeting. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments, if desired, in response to testimonies giving preceding speakers with a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and be taken under submission. Findings. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the required findings set forth by the municipal code, then the project can be either approved or approved with conditions. If the finding of facts are not evident, then the request will be denied. Decisions. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in form of a letter sent to the applicant and all persons who responded to a public notice, either by speaking at this meeting or by submitting a written response and have provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Record of decisions for all projects will be posted online on the Planning Division's website. Appeals. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62, the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within the 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal must contact the case planner to obtain forms and information regarding the appeal process and submittal, or by submitting an appeal online on the city's website of glendalepermits.com. Public notice. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices which were mailed to the property owners, occupants within 500 feet of the subject property. It was physically posted on the site in question and placed in the local newspaper. Speaker cards. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speaker forms which have been provided by the front of the door by submitting it to our planning staff. I would like to also inform everyone this is official proceeding of the Planning Hearing Officer meeting being televised live and may be viewed online on the city's website. Moving on to the actual case. Moving on to the first item. We do have a variance application. The applicant is Rita Naravian. The location is at 720 Bolig Road. The case number is PVAR-002 404-2023. The applicant is a standards variance to enclose portions of the existing rooftop deck for the purposes of creating a 67 square foot floor area addition to an existing single-family residence on a approximately 7,800 square foot lot. The variance is required due to exceeding the maximum stories, which maximum is 2 stories. This is proposing a third. And the second variance request is the maximum, to exceed the maximum floor area ratio, which is the maximum is .03. Moving on to interdepartmental comments received. I will briefly go over it. I do see there were no concerns from our water and power. There were standard comments from our traffic. If it were approved and proceed with permits, it just would, they would require for staging, such as, trash bins or construction bins to be outside the street and so forth. But, and that's just conditional if this application were to be approved. Seeing that there is no other comments of concern from any other departments, I will turn this over to the case planner, Milko Toledo, to give a presentation on this project. Ms. Toledo?
Thank you, Mr. Joe. So as you indicated, the applicant is proposing to remove the existing rooftop planter and enclose a portion of the existing rooftop deck for purposes of creating new floor area. 67 square feet is the addition, which is also noted as a sunroom. So I'll use those two terms. But that is what they're proposing on the second level of the house. And as a result, it would increase the existing building height to 3 stories. Currently, the house is noted to be 2 stories with an open roof deck above the main entry and the garage area. The existing building footprint is located on a portion of the lot that has an average current slope of 14.28%. And the other request for variance is to exceed the maximum floor area ratio of 0.30, and the project proposes 0.37, and the average current slope of the lot is 41.07. Let me go really quick. So the code requires when there's a single-family house, it is limited to 2 stories when located on a portion of a lot that is within the building footprint area of less than 40% average current slope. And I've already indicated the average current slope of the building footprint area is approximately 14.28%. Number 2, the maximum floor area ratio is 0.30 on lots with an average current slope of 40% or greater in the R1R zone. And in this case, I've indicated earlier, the floor area ratio, the average current slope is approximately 41% for the entire site. So that's basically what dictates how many stories you're allowed, and it also dictates your maximum allowed floor area ratio. This is just an identification of where the house is located, as is indicated at 720 Bolig, and the context, again, it's in a R1R hillside zone surrounded by also residential buildings. And the image here to the right is identifying where the proposed location of the addition will be. So existing property, again, is in the R1R zone, floor area ratio District 2. The lot size is 7,780 square feet, 7,780. The lot shape is irregular, has an approximate 80-foot frontage, curving in the street front, facing Bolig. It's a downhill lot from Bolig Road with an average current slope, again, of 41.07% for the entire site, and for the building footprint is 14.28%. The existing development is developed with a 2-story, 2,814 square foot single-family house with an overall height of 27 feet 9 inches and an attached garage, and the house was built in 2006. There are oak trees on the site, but it will not be impacted as a result of their proposal, and our city urban forestry has reviewed the project. So this just kind of, again, shows the location as it relates to the subject site in the R1R zone, and then few images basically indicating the blue tarp is kind of where the water damage, and you're going to be hearing a little bit about that from the applicant, because the reason why they're requesting the variance is because they wanted proposed to mitigate some water damages or damage that has occurred as a result of leaking from an existing planter that is currently on the rooftop. So their proposal is to remove that planter and in its replacement, create or introduce this 67 square foot addition within that area right where the blue tarp is, if you will, which is above the main entry of the house. So in terms of site planning, I've kind of already identified all the different numbers in terms of FER and addition, so I won't go into that. But this is the existing garage, which currently has a roof deck there now on that level. And again, they want to expand that roof deck, if you will. Well, excuse me, I'll take that back. They want to enclose a portion or reduce a portion of the roof deck for purposes of creating that sunroom, again, literally above that front entry, front entrance of the main house, if you will, which is adjacent to a portion of the house which is where the staircase is located, the stairwell for interior staircase for the house. So the existing house, again, has a main level with the living, dining, kitchen, and then the lower level has an entertainment room and master bedrooms and secondary bedrooms. So, and within its total is, again, 2,814 square feet. The proposed roof deck, well, again, the existing roof deck with the proposed addition is identified in here in yellow. So they're going to maintain that existing roof deck, enclose what I just discussed next to the existing interior staircase, and this is the existing planter on the roof deck that they're proposing to remove and enclose the whole area and create this sunroom. And I'll like to just jump kind of straight to the findings and why staff is recommending denial in this case of the two variance requests. So the 4 required findings, staff note in the report, it has prepared draft findings, cannot be met. The strict application of the provisions of the ordinance would not result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship. So again, the applicant has indicated in their findings that the existing planter area on the roof deck has caused some interior water damages. And there are pictures that I believe the applicant's also going to share, and towards the end of the presentation, I'll do that as well because the applicant forwarded those to me. So they're, again, trying to mitigate the situation by incorporating, removing the planter and incorporating this new 67 square foot sunroom. The variance request could not be justified since there are other options that staff believes could be explored that would not warrant a need for a variance request. For example, they could explore simply just removing the existing planter without having to add new floor area. So, and by doing this option, it wouldn't deviate from the zoning code and wouldn't require any variances. If there's any other, for example, option, for example, maybe improving the existing drainage system, like so that would, again, mitigate any potential future issues with water or draining. And another option could potentially, again, but it's not discussed in the report, like perhaps introducing some sort of just a shed roof or a covered area, if you will, but something that's not floor area. So a simple, just covered area, simple like roof extension or again a shed roof or something. Again, this is just potential options. It's not something that staff has discussed necessarily with the applicant, but these are just other options that potentially could be explored that wouldn't warrant potentially the need for a variance, considering that just a simple covered area wouldn't constitute floor area ratio because it wouldn't have walls or an enclosure, if you will. So anyway, these are just some additional thoughts that or options that could have been explored. And I'll just kind of go through a little quicker through the findings. Again, they're drafted in the report, but a few other things that we wanted to highlight in terms of the addition. It would result in the third level for the house, and that would increase the home's mass and scale, especially facing the street. Considering that the average current slope of the building is, or for the building footprint is 14.28%, the zoning code limits the number of stories for a single-family home on lots with an average current slope of less than 40%. So by introducing the new sunroom at the front entry or above the entry, it would result in a third story, even though the applicant has indicated that the existing house is designed, as we can see in the elevation drawings, as a third story volume as a result of that existing staircase. However, if that is an existing non-conforming condition, by introducing the new addition, that would exacerbate an existing non-conforming condition, because that new addition, again, would result in a third story. And the same is true with floor area ratio. In terms of the existing square footage, it's 2,814 square feet. It's currently at 0.36 FAR. Well, the maximum allowed FAR for this, in this zone for a property that has, again, an average current slope greater than the 40%, it's limited to 0.30. The existing house is exceeding that. It's 0.36. So again, it's exceeding code by 480 square feet. So it's an existing legal non-conforming condition. By introducing the new 67 square foot addition, that would exacerbate that existing nonconformity. The end result would be, by introducing the 67 square foot addition, it will exceed the maximum FAR by 547 square feet over the maximum allowed 2,334 square foot limit. And in terms of how would the granting of this request, if it would be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance? Well, in this case, it would, because it would exceed the maximum number of stories. And the objective limiting height and number of stories is to mitigate design, including mass and scale, and also to exceed the existing floor area ratio. Again, exceeding that nonconformity, it would create more mass at the front, which is contrary to the city's design guidelines. The objective of the floor area ratio standard is to limit the overall bulk of the house and keep it in proportion to a given lot size, and not to allow a house to be out of character with other homes in the immediate area, and also not setting a precedent. So with that, I'd like to kind of conclude my remarks in terms of the draft findings. Those are the reasons why staff is not recommending approval in this case, based on the draft findings included in the report.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Toledo. Normally, we would call on the applicant, but I think there was a special request by someone in the audience who made a special appearance, and they know they have to be somewhere elsewhere in the soon time. I'm going to accommodate that, because we started the meeting a little bit late because of technical difficulties, so I'm going to accommodate this public comment and a speaker card here, and I'm going to call up Evelyn Van Orden? Yes. So please, I'm going to call you up and allow you to give your public testimony prior to the applicant being called up. I appreciate that.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Evelyn Van Orden, and I live on Harrington Road, which is the street above Bowlig. And we have lived there for 40 years, my husband and I. We bought it brand new, and it was an interesting home. Every home in our neighborhood is different. We're in a hillside area. Every lot's a different shape. Every home is different, and every one is unique. And when there are problems in homes, they often require unique solutions. And Terry and Lou have been excellent neighbors, moved in 2006, and we've known them. I've been in their home, and I understand their design and why they have done that, and it seems like an excellent solution, considering the problems. I understand your concerns about precedent setting, but again, there have been other homes in our neighborhood that have gone through the same kind of process for variance and have received them, and I don't know what the effect was on precedent, but in general, there have been unique solutions to unique problems that every home seems to have in our neighborhood. And so my husband and I fully support this project. Furthermore, I know most of our neighbors on Harrington and some of the people on Bolig, and everyone was informed about this hearing, and no one has had any complaint or any concern that they've expressed to me personally about this project, which says to me, and often they will come to me, because I've been to many of these hearings, and brought neighbors, some for and some against various projects. In this case, I didn't have time to round people up because of some reason I'm leaving early today. But as far as I can tell, the neighborhood generally supports, and my husband and I fully support what they are doing. They are excellent neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next, I'm going to go back to it in the order. I will like to invite Rita Naravian, the applicant, to give a brief presentation or speak beyond on behalf of the project. Ms. Naravian, the floor is yours.
Mr. Joe?
Yeah.
My name is Rita Naravian with Franco Naravian and Associates. My address is 409 West Broadway, Glendale, 91204. So good morning, and thank you for taking the time to hear our case. I'll just read my quick statement here first. It's been a long 18 months since my initial consultation with planning on January 26, 2023. At first, when I met with planners, I was told, we don't have any issue with the design, submit the plans, go for planning review, then to be told that, oh, yes, third story is not allowed in your zone based on your current average slope. Having the various conversations, changings in planners, applying for an administrative exception first, but then changing that to a variance for setback standards, here we are today. My clients have been waiting for a decision on how to proceed, holding off with fixing the major water damage that has occurred due to the existing planter leaks. And each rainy season, you see the blue tarp on their planter. The damages have gotten worse as it has encroached into the house, and I do have some pictures to indicate that as well. So my clients want to add 67 square feet to the house that is already on the third floor tower, if you will. We're not exceeding the lot coverage, we're not changing it, nothing is changing. And yes, the addition is more than the allowed FAR of the 30%, but the increase from where we are today at 36.2% to 37% is just 0.8%. And that was approved, that 36% somehow was approved by Planning, DRB, Building Department back in 2005. It was approved for a 2,814 square foot, two-story house with that third floor tower leading up to the rooftop deck. We're asking for a total square footage to increase to 2,881 square feet and bringing the FAR to 37%. My understanding is that the point of the variance is to allow for this exception of the completely enclosed third story and the FAR that exceeds 30%, which again, we are already exceeding 30%, we're aware of that. The building mass really doesn't seem to be an issue at the front of the home where the planter is, because when we look at the wall already, the planter wall, you look at it from the top plate of the first floor street level, that wall is 64 inches tall. Our enclosure is approximately 36 inches from the top of the planter wall to the top plate of the third floor tower. We're not increasing the height of the overall building. It's still staying at 27 feet 9 inches at the highest ridge, so that doesn't change. I have pictures of that on the elevation that indicate that I can give to you. It's not on the submittal package. May I proceed?
Yeah.
Your existing.
Okay. And just for the record, I think that's exhibit on the plans, sheet A4, which I do have here. I do appreciate you bringing this here.
Okay.
Yep.
So, we know planning states in their findings that maximum FAR is 30% for lots with an average current slope of 40 or greater. There are exceptions in these neighborhoods. We know that for a fact. There are homes in the immediate neighborhood which do not follow this zoning code. For example, 830 Harrington Road, a lot size of 9,470 with an average slope of greater than 50, has built a 3,440 square foot house. The max should be 2,841. It is a massive house, very visible on the hillside from my client's home. I have a picture of that too. So I'd be interested to know how that variance was approved for this, how this was approved, so that, again, hopefully this variance also gets approved with the 67 square foot addition that we're proposing. I mean, we feel that the massiveness of the third story is not going to be that intrusive to where it is today based on how we're enclosing the walls. Yes, there are solutions on how we can mitigate the leaks and the drainage. Maybe there are solutions on how we can minimize the addition of these three walls on the existing tower. Maybe we use glass instead, so it's not solid, but yet it's still enclosed. So basically, in conclusion, we would like for you to consider approving this variance request, allowing for this small addition and the so-called three-story house, so that my clients can continue to enjoy their home, fix their home, and the neighborhood as well, enjoy the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Naravian. I'm going to call the other speakers. Then I'll verify if there's any callers online, and then you'll have another opportunity to speak again for any questions. Next speaker we have on card we have is Terry, and I apologize if I got this wrong. Yes, Terry, please go ahead, speak your name into the record and your address.
My name's Terry Takeda, 720 Bolig Road. My partner and I, Lou Slimp, built this house, and we used Franco Naravian as our architect. We bought the house in 2001 and gone through the design review board and finished the house in 2006. Followed all the rules, followed all the recommendations, changing the massing and doing everything. It was expensive and a long process, but we feel that their suggestions made our house a nicer house. And also our house, I believe, has 73% of the lot in landscaping. So if you look at the topo, you could see, or the Google Earth thing, you could see how much garden we have. We've had this unfortunate thing where the water comes in to the house. We call it the planter. It's part of the rooftop deck. But for some reason, no matter what we do, for several years, we've had expensive putting metal, putting tar, putting all the stuff. But for some reason, because of the way the rain just drives right towards the front of the house, it's just a trap to cause the water leaking. And we felt that we would call Franco to help us again, but unfortunately he had passed away. So we have Rita. She's helping us with this this project. And one of the things that we all know is a third story is technically not allowed, but the house already has that same height. And from the bottom of the hill or from Brand Boulevard, it would not look any different because it's the part that's the 3 stories is already that way. And our house is one of the most unobtrusive houses on that hill, if you look. It's just because we were, after all the design review board things, we were told to make terraces and have the house sort of pivot back away from the back of the slope, and it made the house, less obtrusive, but it made the cost to build the house way more because we couldn't just build it straight up, on floor to floor. So anyways, I would just hope that that this variance would be allowed. It really would help us a lot. We moved in 2006. I guess we've been living there 18 years. Every few years we had this issue. We had a drought for so many years, and so that was kind of cool. But this last time, it really, even with the tarp, it's just the driving rain that somehow wants to collect in that little thing, probably hitting the tower and making it, and there are drains, and it's not just, it's just a design thing that Rita and we feel will solve that problem. And so please consider us. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. I do appreciate your testimony. Seeing that I don't have any other speaker cards here, Ms. Toledo, do we have any callers? Okay.
No callers.
Okay. I do have some questions for Rita, the applicant. If I may ask you to approach the podium. So I understand that the application is, it's really exceeding, or it's exacerbating a existing non-conforming, where the single-family home has a 0.36 FAR, where the maximum is 0.30, and you're requesting a 47 square foot enclosure or addition on the roof, and therefore increasing that FAR to 0.37. And I know that the existing volume of the stairwell, it is an existing condition. What you're proposing here will not exceed the height of it. I do understand that here. Summarizing, or listening to Ms. Toledo and reading a report, I think she went over some of the findings of what are the required findings by code, which requires a demonstration of if there are any exceptional circumstances or hardship of the ordinance that is inconsistent with the project you're proposing. So kind of going by these required findings, a fact that someone in this position here has to review, and I understand that there are some waterproofing issues here. I'm pretty sure that happens a lot with flat roofs. I kind of want to ask about, are there any further exceptional circumstances that you would like to highlight? I think Ms. Toledo did mention if waterproofing is the main issue here, though I know from the photos I can see that the floor, first level, it was having some water spots on the ceiling.
Yes.
Have we, to avoid a variance, have we investigated maybe converting that portion of the deck into like a roof that might be inline, or maybe becomes a design feature, so that the water, rather than being on a flat deck, it would just kind of, it would be, pushed away from a sloped roof rather than on a deck. And I understand one of the solutions here would be to construct an addition, because then they would have a solid roof over it, and therefore water would displace and go down maybe potentially into a gutter or off the eave and onto the ground. That can easily be achieved too without a variance, with converting as into a roof, either hipped or even like a shed roof, or some design that can be architecturally, or even making that deck, constructing like a patio cover. Maybe you make that as a solid patio cover where rain would drop on it and waterproofing would be displaced onto the side of the building, or maybe into gutters as well. I don't know if that was investigated, because
So obviously, because of this situation, one of the ideas, and my clients and I discussed was, or they brought up, is we would like to enclose it. It's going to defeat two purposes. One is hopefully mitigate the water damage or the water leaking, and also give us that extra space to
Sure.
enjoy up there with, as a sunroom or reading room or whatever they want to use it for. Not realizing that that third story that's there now is not technically a third story. So the idea of enclosing it and solving the problem of the water damage was ideal for my clients. Can we do that? I'm sure we can. But they would like to see the additional square footage to be able to use on their property.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I appreciate that.
And
Yeah.
in the way Franco did build this house, and I wish he was here to tell me how he got this approved, but it seems that at the time, the way that the slope was determined was under 40%. So that it would allow the 40% FAR rather than the 30% FAR, in my understanding, right? So he met that requirement. Now, we did another analysis because we wanted to make sure, and we needed to be more specific on the actual slope of the building, and the surveyor came up with, that said that it was 41%. So when it was approved, it was meeting the conditions of zoning code, so it wasn't non-compliant. Now, in our findings, indeed, that slope is a little higher or greater than that 40%. So from 36.2, we're going to 37. We were at 40% FAR allotment before, we're at 30% now.
Okay. I know this is Florida District 2, which allows a 0.4 FAR, but I think the code says, and I'm just trying to understand with the chrono or the discussion, the analysis through here. And I know the code says if the average current slope is greater than 40%, then it goes down to 0.3. And I think what you were saying, there was an additional report that you hired someone to do a survey
Yes.
to calculate the FAR, I'm sorry, the average current slope, which was found to be 41%. Therefore,
Correct.
it kicked you into a lower FAR.
Correct.
Here we are today. So, okay, I'm trying to understand that here. Okay, and yeah, I think from staff, from the report where they're trying to base their analysis on is, by the required findings of exceptional circumstances or hardships.
But really, the mass is already there. I mean, look how high that wall is above the arch entrance. The
Right.
mass is there. The addition or the enclosure is not that much. Yes, we're bringing the roof out, but it's also going to give them some functional living space out there. There are no homes that are going to be obstructed by this. Certainly no homes from the backside, because that structure is already there. So it actually, we feel the design is actually nicer because at least we have a window in the middle rather than a flat, solid wall.
I think that's the existing condition. It proposed, the proposed would be, it would be a two-story volume, and it would have a window.
Correct.
Okay, so I just want to understand if it is shown on the screen, or when I'm looking at here, this is the existing condition.
Yes.
And it proposed that front entry on the first level, above that is the balcony, that then would become a second-story volume. Okay, and thank you, just for the record, this is, within the packet, this is A41. It just demonstrates what it would look like above it. So I think Ms. Toledo was looking at this from a numeric, by code standards, if it exceeds over a fraction, 0.1, 0.01, unfortunately, I think from her perspective, she's trying to, she will analyze a project from the findings of facts. If there are unusual circumstances, are there practical difficulties involved. Have we investigated any of the alternatives? Like, you know, I know waterproofing is a big issue, and, you know, there could be potential ways to mitigate some of the waterproofing issues. You know, it could be through a patio cover, which a patio cover is not floor area. You know, you might get that volume. You still will be able to use it, although it still will be outside. Or if you were to convert that roofing area into like a shed roof or something that, you know, that would be design compatible, that would help reduce. It seems like Ms. Toledo had expressed some issues with the design guidelines as far as two-story volumes. You know, the massing should be pushed away from the front or something like that, which is a general tenet from the,
I understand that.
yeah.
I understand. But as we know, the neighborhood has a lot of exceptions. You know,
Sure, duly noted. I did take testimony from.
I bring that Harrington house up because it's really exceeding exceptions as well. So, very massive. And it's visible from my client's home.
Sure.
So,
And further, the photo you're providing, is that 830 Harrington?
yes, it is.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that I fully understand what that photo is. I did listen to the testimony that was taken in.
Yes.
I do have that in my notes.
So
Yeah.
to answer your questions, no, we have not discussed any other mitigation options.
Sure.
We're waiting to see what will come out of this hearing and the variance application, and then we'll go from there, but hopefully we can get this approved
Great, thank you.
and build a nice sunroom for my clients.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
thank you.
don't have any further questions. And seeing that I don't have any other speaker cards here, there's a little bit here to digest and take in consideration.
Okay.
So what I'll do for this first item, I will take it under submission. I do appreciate everyone's time. And thank you very much. I do appreciate everyone's patience, and I apologize for the technical delay on this meeting. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is item number 2. The project is located at 1120 North Pacific, unit number 4. It is in regards to allow the operation of a massage establishment. The applicant is, I apologize if I mispronounce this, Ashat Aratunian, and the case number is PCUP-003-510-2024. And I'd like to turn this over to the case planner whenever you're ready, Ms. Eileen Babakani, to give a brief presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. Good morning, everyone. The applicant in this case is requesting approval of a conditional use permit with a case number PCUP-003-510-2024 to allow the operation of a massage establishment in the C1 zone, which is neighborhood commercial district zone. This request is subject to the standard listed in the Glendale Municipal Code, Section 5.64. The property is addressed as 1120 North Pacific Avenue, Unit 4, which is located in a multi-tenant commercial building at the southeast corner of North Pacific Avenue and Palm Drive. The subject property is approximately 9,600 square feet, and the subject tenant space is 1,350 square feet for the floor area. There are various uses in the property, including full-service restaurant, a smoke shop, bakery, and a tavern, and there are 20 parking spaces available on the site with access from Pacific Avenue and Palm Drive. The properties surrounding the subject site are developed with multifamily residential and also commercial uses. Multifamily residential neighborhood above subject site on the east and south side. For the background information of the subject tenant and users, the tenant space was used for massage establishment since 2011 with all valid licenses and a conditional use permit. However, on May 1st, 2024, the business registration certificate for Glendale Massage and Spa was revoked due to prostitution-related arrest made by the Glendale Police Department. Glendale Massage and Spa has closed its operations since the revocation of their business registration certificate. The current CUP was submitted on July 17, 2024, to allow the operation of a massage establishment, Serenity Locks, with a new ownership, and the new owner has not affiliated with the business owner or operator of the previous massage establishment. The current CUP will supersede the previous CUP with the permit number PCUP 2211038 that was approved with conditions on December 6 of 2022. The city department didn't have any concern regarding this CUP. Suggested conditions made by the police department are included in the draft conditions of approval. And within the last calendar year, there were no calls for police service at this location. Staff believes that all findings for the conditional use permit can be made in a positive manner, and therefore staff recommends approval of this conditional use permit with conditions stated on Exhibit 1. I will briefly go over the required findings of facts. The proposed use will be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan. Personal service land uses, such as massage establishment, generally offer a complementary element to the surrounding uses in commercial neighborhood area, which is the land use designation for this property, and also massage establishment are an allowed use in the C1 zone, subject to the approval of a conditional use permit. The proposed use will not impact other elements of the general plan, including circulation elements, noise element, historic preservation, open space and conservation, housing, safety, and recreation element. The use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, the general welfare, or the environment, as the new massage establishment must comply with all provision set forth in the Massage Establishments chapter, which is section 5.64 of the Glendale Municipal Code, as well as California Massage Therapy Act. Also, conditions of approval are added to ensure that the massage establishment will operate in a responsible manner. Also, the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with the adjacent uses or impede the normal development of the surrounding properties. There are public facilities located in the immediate area of the subject establishment, and to ensure minimal disruption to the surrounding properties, conditions of approval have been added to mitigate any potential adverse effects on the neighboring properties. And lastly, adequate public and private facilities such as utilities, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are currently provided on the site for this use, and the applicant's request for operation of a massage establishment will not result in inadequate public or private facilities. Staff recommends approval of this proposed conditional use permit with conditions. No public comment has been received. And with that, I conclude my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Babakani. Okay, I'll call up the speaker cards here. The first one, I'm just going to go in order as stacked here. I'm going to go with the applicant, Ashot Aratunian. Go ahead and speak your name and then your address, and then go ahead and give your yeah.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Ashot Aratunian. The address is 1120 North Pacific Avenue, Unit 4, Glendale, 91202. And yeah, we're requesting a permit for the massage establishment. Previously, there's been a massage place. We've heard what happened, and I know the concern was that if I have any affiliations with the previous owner, and the answer is no. In fact, the third conversation only I've had with him in my life, which exceeded for the first time 15 seconds, was after I already signed the lease. And he came to my store, which is adjacent to that unit for, by the way, I've been there for 3 years as a smoke shop and as a liquor store now. So that was the time I had a conversation with him, and he told me that actually he wanted to sell the place to someone when this whole thing happened, but the landlord refused that and didn't tell him that he was going to lease it to me, which I said, I mean, at this point, what can I do really for you? I mean, if he didn't want you to sell it to someone, he didn't want anyone who affiliates maybe with you to be at his place, because he wants only the best at this location and all the best businesses possible with integrity. And I believe that's why Dan, the landlord, gave me the lease. And yeah, he knows me already for 3 years and how I have conducted the business at the Unit 5. He knows this how I'm going to do business in this new establishment as well.
Okay. Have you had a chance to kind of go over her analysis and recommended conditions of approval, which reflect the interdepartmental comments from the police department? I think they don't have concerns in regards to the operation of what you propose. And I think Neighborhood Services is just echoing, while you were not the operator of the past massage establishment, they are just stating that there were previous violations where that massage establishment had to have their BRC revoked for unpermitted activities. So, okay, I just want to ask if you had chances to take a look and go over the conditions of approval she's recommending. And
Absolutely.
okay, very
Yes,
good.
yes. I know I have to get the permit, obviously, this one, and get the certificate of the ownership of the massage establishment and the business license as well with the city of Glendale, and of course conduct my business with the highest level of integrity and making sure everything is clean and professional. All my massage therapists and estheticians will be fully licensed. That's number one condition that I'm going to be building my staff with. And cleanliness definitely is a priority, and I personally and my wife have been to many different massage places, and when I went to check out this place with the landlord before signing the lease, honestly, definitely I need to work on making sure that place is clean and professional, because that's not what I saw, to be honest with you, when I went there. And I want the best service and best health conditions for the community who will be enjoying the business.
I do appreciate you reviewing these conditions of approval and acknowledging that all employees who perform massage must be CMTC certified. So I do appreciate you reviewing these and have full understanding what conditions are being recommended for this application. One quick question, because I know there weren't any photos of the interior, and then on your floor plans, it appears to be partitions for each massage table, chair. Are these modular? Are these walls?
Not going to be a wall, nothing. It's more module. We're just going to build a little wooden framing and then use the nice thick material of the linen just to divide everything and make it more private.
Okay, so it's more of it's not a wall, it's
No, not at all.
Okay,
Not at
so
all.
it's
And-
more of a partition, modular, something that's not permanent. Okay, thank you. I just wanted clarification on what that meant on the plan, that's all. Okay, very good. I don't have any other questions. Do you have any other thing for the time being?
No, everything is clear.
Okay. Being that I don't have any further questions for you, you will have another opportunity to speak as I go through the cards and the callers, but that's all I have for the time being.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Next speaker I have is Danny Manasarian. Danny, go ahead and speak. For the record, announce your name and then your address.
Hi, my name is Danny Manasarian. My address of where I live, or
Record
2914 Glen
speaker's
Eden
address,
Street. Yeah, thank you, Eileen, for that great presentation. So I've been helping Ashod with the findings and all that, and we went through the conditions together. And if you want, I can go through the findings I think you did a great job by, going through them, but I can, go over them again. I think,
No, I think
Yeah.
Eileen did a thorough job. If there's something you would like to add, or is there something that you would like to clarify, or maybe disagree upon her analysis, that I guess, just for the time of her expediting,
I think it was a very well report, and we agree with all the conditions. And one of the questions I had, so if the CUP gets approved, is the next step to at what point would we apply for a BRC? Is that after the appeal period, then we can just, and if there's no tenant improvements, that's all the applicant needs to operate? That would be my only
So
question.
the appeal period would be within 15 days of the decision date, if I'm correct?
Yes.
And then from that date forward or after, and then your entitlement can be exercised, and you can proceed with, if you're proposing any tenant improvements and so forth, building and safety,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, as far as I know, there's no walls being moved and there's no requirement for a TI, so I think all he needs is a BRC and then he can operate, so, yeah. I'm here for questions, but I mean, other than that, I think everything was, on point, and, thank you for your help throughout the process.
okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Babakani, do we have any callers?
We do not have any caller at this point.
Okay. Given that we don't have any other callers, the applicant is given time to speak. If there's anything, doesn't appear to be anything to rebut. Is there anything you would like to add? You don't have to.
Yes, yeah, just to make sure that, when you make the decision, hopefully, I want you to know that the business is gonna reflect my character. And it's been, I'm a devout Christian, a family man, and nobody should be worried about what had happened before, because something like that kind of a conduct is the furthest thing from me and my character. So the business will be made in a perfect way with integrity, definitely.
And just for the record, go ahead and state your name and briefly your address, just for the record. That's
My
all.
name is Ashot Arutunian. The address of the establishment is 1120 North Pacific Avenue, Unit 4.
Thank you very much. I just wanted, for the record, that's all who's speaking at the time. This hearing will now be officially closed. I'd like to thank everyone for their participation. The date today is August 28th, and the time, August 28th, 2024, and the time is 10:54. The meeting is now closed.